Hey guys, welcome back to our Halloween horror reviews. Last time on the channel we talked about the 2000s with the classic horror film, The Descent, and now we're going all the way to the 2010s to talk about one of my favorite horror films of this decade, The Conjuring. The Conjuring was directed by James Wan and stars Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, and Lili Taylor, and follows the story of a family that moves into a new home and is soon invaded by otherworldly spirits and demons. And so it's up to the Warren family to come in and try to protect this family from otherworldly demons. Guys, when The Conjuring originally came out, it looked like every single other horror film that it was coming out around the time. It was based on a true story, especially dealing with a case that the Warrens worked on, and also that it just came at a time where horror films, especially true to life horror films, were not really seen as good. I mean, around this time, especially in the early 2000s, we got remakes of the Amityville Horror, and then we got movies such as The Haunting in Connecticut, which none were very good, but this one set itself apart from all the rest and focused more heavily on character and crafting a story that we could get invested in and care about. And that's what really made this film work and why it still works to this day. And also, it tries to be a send up of 1970s haunted house films like the original Amityville Horror and other films of its kind, and it makes for a great homage as well as just a great story overall. And something that is exciting when talking about this film is James Wan. James Wan has been a person that has gone from such small films like the original Saw film and now has been making superhero movies and making one of the highest grossing films of all time, Furious 7. But in the middle of all that, he made this tiny little horror film called The Conjuring, and this is some of his best work to date. Now, something that's great about James Wan as a director is that even if he has a script that is not particularly good, I'm looking at movies such as Dead Silence, and for some people, even the first Saw movie, he can take a script that isn't very good and at least make you care about the characters in them. He is very good at crafting real people and making you care about them, and the characters, on top of being well written in this movie, you really do care for, and it's just a testament to his craft. James Wan is one of the best young directors working today, especially in terms of horror, but this one in particular just is so satisfying and so good, and also has one of the most underrated performances and one of the most underrated actresses in film, and that is Lili Taylor, who is, to me, the shining light in this film. She is so good in this film. When many people talk about this film, they always talk about the Warrens with Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and they are great in this film and great additions, great characters. But to me, Lili Taylor is absolutely fantastic in this film, playing this mother that is going through so much and so much trauma going in her life, and watching just this stuff happening to her and her children is very heart-wrenching. And the final moments of the film during the exorcism scene, she is so good in this movie. So good. She's such an underrated actress, and I wish she would get more recognition because, like, especially for this film, because she is great. And also in this film, we can't talk about this film without talking about its horror. And the horror in this film is really, really good. It's really creative. And in many ways, very simplistic. There's not a lot of fancy stuff going on around here, except maybe towards the end of the film. But what I like about this film is how it builds up its horror and doesn't really focus on it too heavily in the beginning. It's mostly just trying to deal with dread, and that's what's really cool about this film is how it doesn't just make a scare every 10 minutes. Something scary has to happen every 10 minutes. It really builds and builds and builds until the final act of the film. But there are little nuggets here and there throughout the film that really do land and are really some of my favorite horror moments in a film. Like, I just love the sequence when Lili Taylor is going down in the basement and the lights are out. She has the matchstick right in front of her, and then there's the ghost that comes out and claps. That scene is so good. It's sort of a jump scare, but it works because the horror is actually present during this scene. And there's other sequences like this, like the witch above the wardrobe, that is really good. There's the hair pulling scene. There's the exorcism in the end of the movie. It just has so many good horror moments throughout the film that really do work, and not a single one that feels really cheap. And something that I praise this movie for is its lack of real jump scares that are really annoying in horror film. I know I said that in my review of The Descent, and I really didn't like some of the horror elements in that because of those jump scares, but there's rarely any in this film. When there's a horror moment, it's a real horror moment. However, there is one jump scare, but it actually works for the film and is very playful, so it works for me. But the horror elements, guys, are really good. And also, the sound design in this film is oppressive. And I hear people that complain about some of the oppressive soundtracks in movies like Hereditary and Midsommar, and I'm like, it's here in this movie too, and why are people not complaining about it in this film? Because this is a very oppressive, loud, bombastic music that plays, and it really sets the tone really well. The only times I don't really like it is when sometimes during like a scary moment there's a little bit of a musical sting that takes me out of the movie a little bit, but it's not completely distracting. Guys, I love what they created here with The Conjuring. It has great characters, great moments of terror, horror, and it just really makes you care about these people, and they really feel like real people. There are several moments in this film that are a little bit ruined by some of the stings, but it is expertly made by a very talented director who really knows his way with the camera and is able to really make well with a ensemble cast. And also, something about this movie is I love the cinematography. If you watch any of James Wan's movies, you know he is a fan of long takes, and this movie does very well in terms of long takes, having you have these POV shots going into each room of the house. It feels really good. It's very raw, and it really makes an unsettling horror experience that I'm not going to forget. I haven't seen this movie since I saw it in theaters, and I was able to watch it feeling like I had seen it for the first time again, and it was just so good. I'm going to give The Conjuring an 8 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed me looking at all these movies from different decades and seeing how they hold up and what I think about them. And now we are going to go on to the home stretch to Halloween. I'm going to be reviewing Halloween 2, so look forward to that. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.